Living intensely isn't just about survival or a momentary rush of adrenaline. It's a deliberate practice of channeling personal energy to cultivate charisma, resilience, and a profound sense of aliveness. Joe Bandel's 18th chapter of the Oak Matrix Unleashed, titled Intense Living, Fueling Your Energies for a Vibrant Life, argues that charisma isn't a fixed trait you're born with, but a byproduct of how we nurture our physical and astral energies. He frames this as a cumulative process, much like an oak tree investing energy into deep roots for stability, while simultaneously reaching its branches toward the light. It's a radical departure from the idea of the daily grind. Instead, he suggests that by dedicating 30 minutes to 2 hours daily to specific types of energy work, we can transform our everyday routines into a pathway for magnetism and fulfillment.
It's such a grounded way to look at something that usually gets buried in high-concept spiritual talk. Bandel uses this vivid image of the oak tree to anchor the idea that growth requires a partnership between our inner effort and external forces. He calls this duality as a loving embrace. In his view, the physical body acts as a biological battery that only produces about half the current needed for a fully realized soul. To bridge that gap, we have to generate a surplus of energy through what he calls intense effort, pushing past comfort without hitting exhaustion, and then injecting that energy into the astral realm. This isn't about working harder at your job. It's about activating specific energy centers, or chakras, to build a vibrant astral body that manifests as charisma in the real world.
The way he ties this to dreams is particularly fascinating. He suggests that our dreams are actually a progress report for our energy levels. If you're having dreams where you feel helpless or paralyzed, it's a sign that your energy is weak. Conversely, triumphant, vivid adventures in your sleep indicate that you're successfully building that savings account of personal power. He wants us to monitor these weekly as a literal metric for growth. It implies that the work we do in the physical world during our waking hours is directly fueling our capacity to navigate the astral plane at night, which then loops back to make us more magnetic and confident during the day.
That feedback loop is the core of his methodology. He breaks it down into different energy types, starting with etheric energy, which aligns with the root chakra. This is about physical vitality and grounding. He recommends aerobic exercise, running, dancing, or cycling, but the key is pushing until you hit that second wind. That's the moment he says energy starts flowing into the astral. It's a physical push that embraces rest, building a charisma that feels like calm strength. It's not the nervous energy of a gym rat. It's the unshakable presence of someone who's physically rooted in their own body.
Then he moves into elemental or physical energy at the sacral chakra, which focuses on creative sensuality and passion. He doesn't shy away from discussing sexuality, but he frames it as a tool for emotional exploration and building bonds. By controlling and prolonging pleasure, whether solo or with a partner, he suggests we can confront inhibitions and build a charisma that's warm and inviting. It's about turning sensual release into a generative force, rather than just a momentary distraction. He suggests spending 30 minutes to an hour on this, which could even just be reading about sensuality or practicing breath control.
The solar plexus energy, or lower emotional energy, is where things get really challenging. He argues that emotions like anger, fear, or depression are often seen as drains, but if we confront them creatively, they become fuel for determination. He suggests channeling anger into art or releasing it through something like boxing. The goal is to integrate that raw, expansive chaos with a containing focus like resolve. This creates a type of charisma that's bold and resilient. People are drawn to that kind of strength because it shows you've mastered your internal hurdles rather than just suppressing them.
It's interesting that he contrasts that with upper emotional energy at the heart chakra. He claims that if we don't deliberately seek out thrills and noble causes, life will create crises for us just to provide that stimulation. He encourages planning for excitement, things like skydiving or volunteering for a cause you truly believe in. This builds a motivational charisma. It's like the canopy of the oak tree fostering life around it. By participating in things that stir the heart, you're creating a sense of fulfillment that isn't just about yourself, but about your connection to the community and your own sense of honor.
He also places a high value on the mental aspect, separating it into concrete and abstract energy. Concrete mental energy is tied to the throat chakra and involves expanding your knowledge of the world daily, learning a new language, a recipe, or even just facts through a trivia app. This sharpens your awareness of your environment. Then there's abstract mental energy at the third eye, which is about solving puzzles, debating philosophy, and staying focused despite distractions. He says this breaks old patterns and allows for quantum awareness shifts. It makes you an insightful presence in a conversation because you're able to leap through paradoxes and handle complex ideas without getting lost.
Finally, he reaches the spiritual levels. Concrete spiritual energy at the crown chakra is cultivated through daily prayer or meditation to foster self-love and inner peace. He emphasizes listening to your conscience as the key to inner harmony. Then there's unity energy at the soul chakra, which is about recognizing our interconnectedness with all of humanity and the earth. He argues that harming another is essentially harming oneself because of this unity. Reflecting on shared humanity or taking nature walks builds a universal appeal. It's the highest form of charisma because it's not based on personal ego, but on being aligned with a larger whole.
To make all this practical, Bandel suggests using an energy tracker. You journal your daily efforts for each chakra. For instance, solar plexus transformed fear into a high-intensity run. You then cross-reference that with your dreams to see the astral burst. He also suggests intense rituals, where you pick one energy type and push it to the limit for a day, ending with gratitude. The idea is that these small, consistent efforts across all these categories accumulate into a sustainable glow. You aren't just doing these things for the sake of the activity itself, you're doing them to build a version of yourself that naturally attracts opportunities and deepens connections.
It really shifts the perspective from survival being about external resources to survival being about the reclamation of internal authority. In his other writings, like Modern Survivalism, he notes that the real threat isn't just physical scarcity, but the erosion of the true will. By living intensely across these energy types, you're essentially protecting that inner spark from the pressure to conform to external authorities like governments or social media. It's what he calls organic Gnosticism, the belief that truth is found within your own experience and needs, not in a book or a church. You become the knight of your own destiny.
That term, Order of Anarchist Knights, or OAK, really speaks to this idea of responsible anarchy. It's not about chaos. It's about a natural order emerging because individuals are acting according to their highest nature. When you are truly aligned with your inner authority, you aren't in competition with others. You're fulfilling your unique purpose, which naturally ripples out to benefit the rest of the world. It's a very modern psychological argument for autonomy and self-actualization wrapped in metaphysical language.
He admits this is a high bar. Most people are afraid of that kind of honesty because of the social consequences. Choosing to express your needs lovingly rather than conforming to keep the peace can cause some relationships or institutions to fall away. But he believes this is a filtering process. Eventually, you find the supportive environments and friends that encourage your path rather than stifling it. The goal isn't to be alone, it's to be authentic. That's the loving embrace part of the duality. You hold your own space while still engaging with the world.
It's a demanding but ultimately hopeful vision. He's essentially saying that your personal fulfillment is the ultimate contribution you can make to humanity. By fueling your own fire and living intensely, you become a beacon for others to do the same. It turns the idea of self-care into a form of spiritual bravery. You're not just taking a bath or going for a walk. You're actively building the energy required to be a fully realized human being in a world that often wants you to stay small and predictable.
The framework provides a very clear roadmap for anyone feeling stuck. Instead of waiting for a major life change, you can start today by picking one energy type and pushing it for 30 minutes. Whether it's a difficult puzzle for your mind or a sprint for your body, that effort creates the momentum needed to crack the barriers of your current reality. It's about expanding from within the rock, as he says in his earlier work, rather than just fighting against it from the outside. The aliveness we feel after a great conversation or a tough workout isn't an accident. It's the result of us briefly touching that higher potential.
It's about making those moments the rule rather than the exception. When you balance all these types, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, you don't burn out because you're constantly renewing yourself through that duality of effort and reflection. You become like that oak tree, standing strong and vibrant through every season because you've invested the time to grow in every direction at once. It's a compelling way to rethink what it means to live a successful life.
Balanced energy doesn't just change how you feel, it changes how the world responds to you. By taking these simple, empowering tools and applying them to the everyday, the magnetic self Joe Bandel describes can become a reality. If you found this exploration of energy and charisma useful, consider sharing this episode with someone who might be looking for their own inner spark.